You can learn everything you need to know about a person by the way they grieve. Or in her case, how she didn't. My father's funeral wasn't even cold in the ground when I noticed it. She stood by the casket, dressed in black, but her eyes weren't heavy. They were calculating. To everyone else, she looked like the grieving daughter-in-law. To me, she looked like a woman checking the time, waiting for the next phase to begin. That morning, she'd asked if we were reading the will, right after the burial. Not gently. Not nervously. Just efficiently. She'd been married to me for 16 years. And during that time, she'd smiled through every dinner with my father, nodded at every story he told twice, poured him coffee even when she didn't feel like it. I used to think she did it out of love. Now, watching her by the casket, I wasn't so sure. We buried him on a Wednesday. The will was to be read Friday. I told her I'd go alone. She insisted on coming. She wore pearls. My mother's pearls, inherited quietly 3 years ago. She never asked if it was okay to wear them that day. Maybe she thought she didn't need permission anymore. And maybe she was right. Because when the lawyer read the numbers out loud, $250 million, she didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She smiled. It wasn't wide. Wasn't greedy. Just a small, quiet confirmation that everything she'd been waiting for had finally arrived. She turned to me and squeezed my hand. But she wasn't holding me. She was holding the exit key. 3 days later, I came home from work to an empty closet, an unsigned note, and a single sentence that told me exactly who she was. It's better this way, for both of us. The note she left was barely 5 words long. But the echo of it stretched back years. It's better this way, for both of us. Better? For who? Because I was the one who walked into our bedroom and saw the closet gutted. The jewelry box emptied. The shared life, folded and removed like it had been staged. No fight. No explanation. Just absence, neat and planned. But here's the thing she didn't know. My father didn't just leave behind money. He left behind a map. He'd seen it coming. Not the betrayal, her. Years ago, he warned me in his own quiet way. She's not in love with you, son. She's in love with your last name. I told him he was old-fashioned. Bitter. He never said another word about her again. Instead, he rewrote the will. And never told anyone. She thought she got $250 million. What she really got was a number on a page she hadn't read to the end. She didn't know about Clause 17b, or the trigger hidden inside it. Because the moment she left, the moment she walked away from the marriage without cause, everything she thought she inherited evaporated. She thought she was 2 steps ahead. Turns out, she was standing on a trapdoor the entire time. And my father? He built it just in case her smile ever outlasted her loyalty. That night, her lawyer called mine, in a panic. There's been a mistake, he said. I almost smiled. No, I told him. There's just been a miscalculation. The first call was from her lawyer. The second, from her. I didn't answer either. Not because I was avoiding them. Because I wanted her to sit in it. Sit in the silence. Sit in the realization that the $250 million she thought she'd walked away with was never really hers. The trust was conditional. Tied not to the marriage, but to me. Clause 17b. A single paragraph. Buried near the end of the will like a landmine. In the event of an unprompted dissolution of the marriage by the spouse, all financial assets intended for said spouse shall revert to the trustee, pending review of marital good faith. Legal speak. Cold. But in plain terms? If she left me for no reason, she got nothing. My father wasn't just protecting me. He was protecting the family name, even from inside the coffin. And here's the kicker. I didn't know about the clause either. Not until his lawyer read it to me, calmly, as I sat across from him. She signed a prenup, but this is different, he said. This is strategic. He suspected. Suspected what? I asked. The lawyer gave me a look. One that said everything without saying it. That she wasn't here for love. That she was waiting. And she had waited. 16 years. Played the long game. Smiled at birthdays. Kissed me at weddings. All of it, slow positioning. But she misjudged the man who built his empire brick by brick. And the son he raised to carry his name. She thought walking away would be her freedom. Instead, it was the moment the floor gave out from under her. The next day, I got a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. I didn't know about the clause. Please. It was her. And for the first time, she wasn't writing like a woman in control. She was writing like someone who just lost the game she thought she created. I stared at her message for a long time. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I finally had nothing left to give her. She said she didn't know. That it wasn't about the money. That she just needed space. That we had grown apart. Words. Stacked like sandbags after the storm had already hit. I remember once, maybe 8 years ago. She told me I was the most grounded man she'd ever met. Back then I believed her. But now I realize what she meant was I was stable. Predictable. The kind of man you build a life on top of, until you find something shinier. But what she forgot is that grounded men don't shake when someone walks away. They solidify. She thought she was leaving me behind. What she actually did was release me. No more guessing. No more analyzing the small shifts in tone, the late returns, the empty smiles. She thought she was walking into power. Instead, she walked into a courtroom trap laid years before she even knew how the game worked. And me? I wasn't angry. I was done being useful to people who don't stay when the math changes. There's a moment, a cold, pure one, when you realize the person you loved is no longer even familiar. Not cruel. Not evil. Just foreign. And you don't chase a stranger. You don't rescue someone who planned their exit behind your back. You watch them leave. And then you lock the door they forgot to slam. Later that evening, her attorney emailed mine with a new request. My client would like to arrange a private meeting. No press. Just closure. I told my lawyer to reply with one sentence. There's nothing left to close. No lawyers. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Dress plain. I almost didn't recognize her. Not because she looked different, but because I stopped looking at her the same way the day she walked out. She stood in the doorway like she wasn't sure I'd tell her to leave. I didn't. I let her speak. I didn't know about the clause, she said softly. If I had, I wouldn't have left? I cut in. She nodded. And that was it. That one moment right there. When she admitted that $250 million was more valuable to her than I ever was. She tried to fix it. It wasn't about the money, I swear. Then why are you here now? I asked. When it's gone. She opened her mouth, then closed it. There was no answer. Not an honest one. I stood up. Not in anger, just in finality. You didn't lose the money, I said. You lost something you can't buy back. And the worst part? You don't even understand what it is. She looked at me. Eyes wide. Red. The first tears I'd seen from her that didn't feel like part of a performance. I wasn't cruel. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't list everything I gave, or everything she took. I just said one thing. If you had stayed put beside me, I would have protected you with everything I had. But you saw the money as your reward. And me as the cost. She sat down in the chair like her legs gave out. I didn't know I meant so little to you, I added. And I don't have it in me to teach you now. As she reached into her bag, I expected a letter. A ring. Some kind of gesture. Instead, she pulled out something I never thought I'd see again, my father's handwritten journal. She placed the journal on the table like it meant something. Like it could buy her time. Or mercy. My father's handwriting, heavy, sharp. The leather worn from his hands. Pages filled with notes, quotes, and warnings that sounded too harsh when he was alive, and too true now that he was gone. She looked at me. I found it in the storage unit. I thought you should have it. She expected a thank you? A flicker of emotion. Maybe forgiveness. I didn't give her any of it. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I finally understood that not reacting was the most honest thing I could do. I opened the journal later that night alone. On one page, in bold ink, he'd written, "Don't measure people by how they love you when they need you. Measure them by what they do when they think they don't." I read it twice. Then I closed the book, not because I was overwhelmed, but because I had nothing left to learn from her. She thought the money was the end of the story. It never was. She was. And now that her role was over, I could finally walk off the stage without carrying her with me. In the days that followed, she kept trying. Messages. "Can we talk? I'm not okay. I miss who we were." But I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was untangled. Because that's what real change feels like. Not a fire, not a breakdown. Just freedom from needing to be understood. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from her lawyer. Not a lawsuit. Not a settlement offer. Just one line. She's declining all remaining assets. She says she doesn't want what doesn't belong to her anymore. The letter sat on my desk for 2 days. Unread. Unneeded. She declined the assets? Said she didn't want what didn't belong to her. It sounded noble. But it wasn't. It was survival. The final move of someone who realized the spotlight was gone. And all that remained was silence, and the man she thought she could walk over, now watching from higher ground. I didn't feel vindicated. No triumph. No fire in the chest. Just peace. And the strange calm that comes when you've buried not a person, but the version of yourself who tolerated being overlooked. I stood by my father's grave that Sunday. No flowers. No speech. Just a journal in my hand and a man I'd finally learned to listen to. Even after he was gone. "Your trust wasn't wasted," I said quietly. "I see it now. All of it." He saw her before I did. He saw the gap between loyalty and performance. I used to think he was too hard on people. Now I think he just refused to be impressed by surface. Back home, I cleared the last of her things from the house. Didn't trash them. Didn't burn them. Just boxed them with the same discipline I used to clean my rifles. Labeled. Sealed. Delivered to her new address without a return label. The same week, I called the bank. Tied off accounts. Shifted investments. Filed the final documents with the estate trustee. The money? Still there. Untouched. But no longer the point. Because wealth means nothing if it costs you your identity. And she took enough of that already. That night, I opened a blank notebook. First page, first line, in my own handwriting. From here on, nothing fake gets in. And this time, I meant it. She thought she let go of the fortune. What she never realized was that I let go of her first. No arguments. No closure dinner. No long goodbye. Just silence. And a man she would never see again. Not because he disappeared, but because he no longer existed where she left him. I didn't write back. Didn't respond when mutual friends reached out. Didn't explain. Some things don't need wrapping up. They just need to be put behind glass. As reminders of what won't be allowed back in. They say a clean break is rare. They're right. This one was surgical. Now, I don't check her name. Don't think about what she does with her days. She chose an ending. I chose a beginning. Not louder. Just sharper. The money stayed in the family. She didn't. And neither did the part of me that ever mistook silence for love. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help this video reach more viewers. See you in the next one.